Hey, good morning, folks. Thank you for joining the VMLIP Law Enforcement Academy webinar this morning. We're still giving it just a few more minutes as we wait for some other folks to join the call this morning. Keep in mind, we encourage you, if you're logged in using your computer for both the video and audio, as an opportunity to avoid any disruptions with the audio, we do encourage you to call in using the call-in number for this webinar. That just to avoid any issues with audio that you might experience if you don't have the fastest internet connection on your end. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes here. Also, keep in mind during this webinar, we do have everyone muted, but we do encourage participation and feedback during this webinar throughout the course of it. You'll notice that in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, there is an attendee chat. We do encourage you to ask any questions or funnel any questions through that chat box, and I will address those as those questions come in. And if I'm not at a point during this presentation where we can address it right away, we'll certainly circle back around to that. I'd like to ask if someone, either Ashley, Brenda, or John, if one of you could use that attendee chat and just confirm that you are looking at the VML Law Enforcement Academy portal page and you can hear my voice on this webinar, that'd be great. For those of you just joining the call, we are just giving it a couple more minutes, waiting for a few more people to join, and then we'll get going on this right away. Brenda, thanks for confirming. I appreciate that. Again, for those of you just joining the call, we're just giving it a couple more minutes while a few more people join that we had registered for this webinar this morning. I appreciate you guys joining us, and in case you missed it, we do have all users muted for this call just for the sake of getting through the webinar with minimal interruptions. However, we do encourage you to use the attendee chat with this webinar service and ask any additional questions you might have. As those questions come in, I'll try to address those immediately. Otherwise, we'll certainly circle back around to those questions as they pop up. Okay, well, for the sake of everyone else's time that they got here right on time, if not showed up early, again, thank you for joining the call. We're going to go ahead and just kick this off, and anyone else that comes in a little bit later, we will be recording this webinar. So once this actual webinar is conducted, we'll be taking this information, putting that together in a YouTube link that we'll be able to share with folks, and we'll also be placing this on this VMLIP Law Enforcement Academy portal page. That way, if any one of your coworkers or personnel wanted to view this actual recording to learn more about the service that's kicking off here, they'll have the opportunity to do so and go from there. So without further ado, welcome to the VMLIP Law Enforcement Academy. This program actually just kicked off in the middle of July, so we're right in the midst of getting this rolled out, informing the VMLIP members and those who participate specifically in the law enforcement liability coverage who will have access to this program. Again, we kicked this off effective roughly around July 15th, and started emailing out the information. If you did not get any email or information about this, we do encourage you to either reach out to us, and we'll be providing you with our contact information following this webinar. But our goal in this program is really to assist you from start to finish in getting this program rolled out for your department. Our staff on hand actually provides VMLIP with a dedicated account manager. His name is Stephen DeStacy, and really his sole purpose is to assist the departments from start to finish, from adding employees, making course assignments, and getting this program communicated and rolled out to the officers or anyone else within your department who's interested in utilizing this program. LocalGovU is the online training provider for this program. We are actually a sister company of, you might be familiar with the PoliceOne.com and the Police One Academy. We actually share a lot of the similar resources and online training programs through this program. And keep in mind, this is a value-added service offering that VMLIP is offering to the members. What that means, big picture, is this is absolutely no cost associated to you or the employees utilizing this program, as VMLIP has opted in to offer this as a value-added service, which means that they're covering the costs of this program. Again, as this program continues to mature, there will be additional course topics that are rolled out throughout the year, based that upon various feedback mechanisms and, any sourcing that we can get from the departments to start participating in this program. It's also around the clock, available for 24/7, anywhere with internet or mobile broadband access. Ultimately, what that means is whether you're using the cell phone, which is about the size of a laptop nowadays anyways, or your computer workstation, tablet, wherever you are accessing this training from, it is accessible around the clock 24/7, including those mobile and tablet devices. Ultimately, it's designed as a pace-yourself training program, which means that you can start and stop a course at your convenience. It does allow you to get in, get out, should you have any interruptions or you have to walk away from the computer during that actual training program. The system's actually going to bookmark right where you leave off in the system. Additionally, our system's designed to really track and document all training progress that's being conducted. So it's pertinent that at that point, we provide all the tracking and documentation that applies to the training that's being conducted or utilized, which means that we track down to the second the amount of time that a user spends on the training material. It also forces the user through the material without allowing them to jump, so to speak, from start to finish, ensuring that anyone who's utilizing this program actually goes through the program in its entirety, all the way up through the testing mechanism at the end of every single course. We'll give some examples and show you or showcase how that system works and what that looks like. And really, we're going to be breaking this webinar apart into 3 different sections. The first section is we're going to be going through as a standard user on the training account, and it's really our goal to show you all as account administrators and those who would be administering the program to your department, really that ease of access and not just logging into the training itself, but accessing the training content that has been made available to you as an end user. The end goal is to ultimately to get those users in the system, utilizing the programs, and really earning their completion credit. As far as the testing components are concerned, it does allow the user to test as many times as it takes to pass that exam. However, we do document the total number of results or attempts to pass that exam, which means, for instance, if you have an employee that might be utilizing sexual harassment training within the system, you could use that data to identify if there's any underlying issues. For instance, if it took them 15 attempts to pass the sexual harassment training course, it's probably behoove you to lock that employee away and keep them away from all other employees. But seriously, on a true note, you can use and leverage that data to see if there's any underlying issues that you might not be cognizant of or you might not be aware of. So actually leveraging that completion data, looking at the number of attempts, looking at the time and course spent, you can really use that to your benefit and to address that with any of your employees. So without further ado, folks, we're going to go ahead and jump in here. This is the actual VMLIP Law Enforcement Academy portal page. This does provide you a brief overview of that program, why they're offering it. Again, just to reiterate, this is a value-added service, so it is absolutely at no cost to the departments participating in the law enforcement liability coverage. We're currently offering roughly or close to around 20 course topics that are available right now. Again, as this program matures, there's likely going to be additional course topics made available based upon the engagement feedback that's coming from you all who are participating in this program. Once you're on the actual login page, please keep in mind we have already set up an account for all departments participating in this program. And if you receive this email or this invite, that means we've got you identified as a key administrator for this program. But it doesn't mean that you have to be the primary admin to roll this out to your employees. We'll work with you one-on-one to identify if there's another training coordinator within your department who might be responsible for rolling this out or communicating any of the training that's being conducted on the department level. And we'll talk a little bit about that once we get to the administrative portion of the system. And then lastly, we'll be covering the opportunity to earn in-service credit for this training. That is something that we're going to continue working towards and working with the various academies to look into this training, evaluate the training, ensure it's applicable for the regional academies to provide for in-service training credit. Keep in mind, too, Thomas Bullock, who is the law enforcement training specialist for VMLIP, he's really headlining this program and, doing some of the outreach to the academies to see about having this recognized for the continuing education or in-service training credit. So we look forward to working with the academies to achieve that and to make sure that this is a viable training resource moving forward. So we're going to go ahead and jump in here. So I mentioned that everyone is already set up. If you have not received your login credentials already, just give us a shout. We'll be providing you with our direct contact information following this call. But give us a shout. We'll assist you in getting your access to the online training system. And at that point, also assist you in getting your additional employees or staff personnel uploaded into the system. I've got this set up as a test account for me. So things might look just slightly different from the access that you would see, and we'll be covering that as I navigate through the training. But each and every user in the system is set up with a username and password. The username is going to be unique for all users in the system. We often encourage utilizing your department or city or town email address as your username. We'll also show how that's functioning in the system, but ultimately that does need to be a unique identifier for all users within the system. And the same thing really applies for the password. We're going to go ahead and set you up as we start uploading your employees with a general password, but all users would be required to update their login credentials once they log into the system, just as an additional security measure that we provide in our system. So once I plug in my information, also keep in mind on this login screen as well, you've got two opportunities to click and view the actual course list that's available through this system. So if you see here in the center portion of the screen, to view a course list, click here. And also you've got the opportunity to view course list here. Once you click that link, it's going to open up a second tab for you, which you're seeing here on the screen right now. This allows you to view that, but it also gives you the opportunity to download that directly from the website. One thing to also keep in mind, as you can see here, each one of these course listings does have a hyperlink assigned to that, so you can actually click that link for, say, anti-bias for law enforcement, and that's going to direct you and give you an overview of the course summary, the time of that course, the time in course, the learning objectives, and key topics that are included in that training. So again, if you're looking to get additional information about the training that's being provided through this program, you can simply click on those course description links, and that's going to catapult you right in here to view the actual course details associated with this program or that particular training course. Again, you can also access that and download that link directly from the website. So again, we encourage you, if you want to have a couple files or takeaways, you can go directly to the portal page itself, click that link, and download that file directly from the website. Jumping back into the system, though, we're going to go ahead and log in at this point. So once we jump right into the system, we're presented with a welcome screen. All users are going to see this every time that they log into the training material itself. This is basically the standard landing page for anyone who's got access to the training. Additionally, you've got a few headers right here at the top center portion of the screen, starting with progress and certificates, all the way over to this admin link. Keep in mind, again, I am set up as an administrator or a super admin on this account. So anyone with administrative access in the system would see this admin link or this admin icon associated with their profile. If this was just a standard user who was set up as a standard user logging into the system, that admin link that I'm circling here would actually be replaced with a reports link. That reports link is really specific for that employee that allows them not only to track and document their progress and certificates, but exporting that in a clean kind of bare bones Excel format for their own documentation purposes. Additionally, progress and certificates is an area designed to track the full training progress in the life of this program. So you'll notice here that we have two options underneath progress and certificates. We can view current courses, or we can select all certificates. Again, current courses would recognize the current training or course licenses that are made available to you in your user accounts. All certificates identifies really the life of the program, or all certificates earned for the life of this program. So, our business, Local GovU, we're responsible to not only document and really retain all training results, but we retain that information indefinitely. So you will always have access to this, 5, 10 years down the road. If you need to pull any of those personnel files or you need to pull any of that training data, that it is going to be readily available to you at any given point in time. Additionally, this is a location where you can go and you can identify not only those all certificates earned, but you can view those certificates of completions from this location. So if I pull up and I look at all certificates, there is a dedicated or customized certificate for the VMLIP Law Enforcement Academy program. As you can see here, once I select that, I can choose to print that in color or in black and white. I'm going to pull that up right there front and center on the screen for you. And this is really provided, we still have departments that want to utilize and have personnel files and records on hand. So with that being said, outside of just the stringent reporting capabilities that we have, you do have the opportunity to view or document certificates of completion to utilize for personnel files or whatever else. We're going to go ahead and return to training at this point. Additionally, we've got this preferences icon front and center on the screen. This is really designed to, if your email address changes, you want to update your username and password for yourself. Aside from the standard username and password that was just set up for you, that's the location to go in and update that. And from the actual welcome screen itself, again, this is just a basic overview of the program, but we're all going to see this link right here at the bottom of the page where it states, click here to see your courses and get started. Once I select that link, I'm thrown directly into the system where I can select the course titles that have been assigned to me as an end user. Now, it's important to note, this view and this view only will only provide or only allow the users to see those courses that have been made available to them or assigned access to them. Additionally, we've got our training broken down into various course topics or course categories. It's automatically defaulted to show all course categories, but we can choose to filter that out for the training that we want to see specifically. So we can drop that list down, select those course category icons that we want to view, and filter down those results. Now, when we start a course, all you need to do as an end user is select the course title that you're looking to begin. You'll also notice that there's various types of courses within our system and that we offer through the training platform, and really two specific types. The first type being what we refer to as video block training courses. Those are going to be identified by these subcategories, corrections 1 through 4, cultural awareness 1 and 2. Those are video block courses, which means that they're roughly about 1 hour in length from start to finish, and it does include multiple video segments as well as an overview of the learning objectives and testing components associated with those video segments, culminated into a 1 hour training course. So again, each video block course will likely contain anywhere between 5 to 10 short video segments, anywhere between 5 minutes and 15 minutes in length. Also providing to you kind of the overview, the talking points of that video concept that's being provided, as well as kind of a case study or walkaway about that training that was just conducted. All of the video block courses that we've actually created were actually created in-house and on-site with the various subject matter experts that we work with. So again, our sister company, policeone.com, does provide the majority of these resources, as well as the 150 plus subject matter experts that we work with in each core area of study. So the training's not only validated, it's gone through the ringer from various subject matter experts to approving bodies. Our business, Local GovU and policeone.com, or the Police One Academy, we are post-approved or recognized for continuing education credit in a total of 37 states. We look to continue making those inroads, but really we like to talk about that due to the validity of the programs. Each one of these courses does go through a stringent review on a biannual basis to ensure the information is up to speed. Statistical data is up to speed as well, for that matter, and just ensuring that you're getting the most direct and current training resources that we can actually provide. So again, while this is all created and conducted in-house, we do work with a whole slew of subject matter experts who really cater to and participate in this program and have ultimately made it what it is today. Through this program, we actually serve about 7,700 total entities nationwide, and we look to add about another 150 departments to that list, working with VMLIP and their members. So again, once you're on this training selection page here, you can select any one of those course topics to begin that. The second form of training outside of those video blocks is what we consider as full-length course topics, and those are going to be identified as true kind of, call it course names here. For instance, anti-bias training for law enforcement, de-escalation and minimizing use of force, ethics in law enforcement, and so on. To start that course, you simply need to click on that course title. So when we talk about the physical requirements to actually participate in this program, ultimately, even if your staff is not the most tech savvy or really work on computers too often, all it truly takes is the click of a mouse to navigate through and utilize this training program. You know, again, we talk about breaking down the barriers or the objections from utilizing online programs, and ultimately the one thing that we hear most often is that due to generational differences, or you might not have employees that are the most tech savvy. So truly, if you can use your pointer finger and click on the mouse, you'll be able to actually navigate through this program. So once we're in the system, what you're looking at right here is it gives me the options. Tell me, welcome back, Tony. Would you like to continue where you left off, or would you like to start over from the beginning? And that kind of just reiterates what I discussed earlier, is that access to this training program will document and will always bookmark any progress that you've made through the actual training material from start to finish. So when you log in next, no matter what device you accessed it on previously, because this is a software as a service or a web-based solution, you can actually utilize any device or computer workstation to access that training, even if you didn't start utilizing that training on that one device. Additionally, there's no software or hardware requirements or downloads to access this. It works in tandem with all of the current browser requirements and every other components that are built into that. We also proudly tout that this program is effectively 99.9% active, and ultimately what that means, big picture, is this system is never down. You're never going to expect to experience any downtime in this program, as any developments or updates that we make through the life of the program is done on a development server side of things, meaning your access is always going to be current. It's always going to be active and allowing you to access this training whenever it's convenient for you to do so from an end user standpoint. We're going to go ahead and start back from the beginning of this course. So I'd actually completed this course starting with the, you'll notice here I'm on the module summary wrap-up, which means that I've made it through this course. Had I not, or was I starting over from the beginning of this course, I would not be able to start with the introduction and jump right to the summary wrap-up page. It does require you to progress through each and every training module, as well as any testing components or questions associated with each training module, in order to advance to the next portion of the system. Ultimately, that ensures that, again, users cannot simply start a course and jump right to the end of a training course in order to gain access to that. Additionally, we do have a timing out feature that's built in the system. So if the system recognizes that there's no activity going on within the course, meaning anyone scrolling, moving their mouse around the screen, or anything, it will stop accruing time participating in that course after 5 minutes of inactivity. So if you don't change pages, if you don't move your mouse, if you don't do a click of the mouse, we will stop accruing time. And again, this is just a stringent requirement in most states or approving bodies that we work through to ensure that a user can't simply start a course and wait for that to roll out. You do have to click to the next page. You do have to move your mouse and participate in the program, and our system recognizes that. So if there is an instance of inactivity, it's going to log that user out of the material and stop accruing time associated with that actual training. Again, the navigation menu on the left-hand side is breaking this course down into the various modules. A course module would be considered a course chapter or chapter of a book, so to speak, in which case we break that down by sections or by chapter, starting with the introduction and various other aspects of this program in particular. You can drop that module menu to expand the screen space. Also keep in mind, we're roughly about 2 months away to doing kind of a facelift on this program, so the look and feel might change a little bit. Over the course of the next 2 months, we are expanding and adding additional components to the back end of our system due to, call it, new tech upgrades that are or capabilities that we're able to implement, but ultimately utilizing the full expansion of the screen space that you see right now on the screen itself. We're going to go ahead and start over from the beginning here. just so we can kind of see a couple pointers of this, I am also going to turn off the audio here. Keep in mind, every course page, this is designed with utilizing the blended learning method and really creating these courses utilizing the ADDIE concept, which is really adult learning principles applied to e-learning and how adult learners interact with online training for that matter. So it's short, bite-sized format. Again, most of these courses are 1 hour in length. There are a handful of topics that do expand or span beyond 1 hour, and that's basically set for any state requirements that there might be. For instance, 2 hours of racial profiling on an annual basis, or whatever the case may be. But again, in most cases, these courses are 1 hour from start to finish. It's designed as that pace yourself training concept. So I utilize the navigation buttons in the upper right-hand portion of the screen to navigate through that training. Being this is a blended learning or full-length course module as well, you're going to notice that we put the information in kind of bite-sized chunks on each page. That's designed to hopefully limit any unnecessary scrolling to view the information, but additionally, you're going to find that there's audio playback capabilities associated with this. This is also in compliance with the ADA Act and required of us as an online learning provider to offer these training services. So if you have anyone within the personnel or within staff that are to have any hearing disabilities or eye disabilities for that matter, or vision disabilities, I should say, this program still can be accessed and utilized, and it does work with, so to speak, the interactive keyboards to navigate through the next page buttons moving forward as well. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this actual training course, but we wanted to show you kind of the nuts and bolts of that actual training itself. You'll notice it's going to allow me to segue into the next topic here, the next page. At that point, jumping into the next modules I can see here on the left-hand side of the screen. We do also implement video training topics that are associated with these blended learning type training courses. So you're going to find that mix of both text, video, and audio embedded within the training, as well as some progress checks scattered throughout the training as well, just ensuring that the user stays engaged with the information that's being provided there on the screen. We're also going to go ahead, and here's one of those progress checks, or an example of those progress checks. It does require me to select and identify the correct answer before moving forward. As I continue to navigate through that training course, once I get to the end of a course, again, we discussed that every single course has a testing component associated with that. Generally, the assessment is for every 1 hour of instruction, there's a 10 question exam or testing component at the end of that actual training course. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into that summary wrap-up so you guys can see how that looks. Once I get to the summary wrap-up page itself, you're going to see that proceed to testing option for me. When I select that, it's going to identify who I'm logged in as in some instances, if you are utilizing a shared computer for that matter, and if that shared computer is actually set up to record previous login information, that's why we identify that user by their first or by their last name upon logging in and upon getting to this actual portion of the testing portion of the system, just in case you are accessing that on a shared computer. And if you logged in accidentally with someone else's login credentials, this ensures that you're not going to be taking this exam for the benefit of some other user. We certainly don't want that to happen, so that's just another opportunity to identify that. If we're looking here at the top of the page, this identifies the number of questions associated with that exam, what that required pass percentage is. We'll discuss a little bit later on about that required pass percentage, as that is adjustable at the department level, so you can choose to adjust that up to 100% required to pass if you're really looking to dig in deep and ensure that there's 100% satisfaction within this program. Oftentimes we find that departments or HR folks like to utilize that for various mandatory topics like harassment training or diversity, but as an administrator for that program, you'll be able to adjust any exam up to 100% in 5% increments. So at this point, once I start testing, I'm just going to kind of run through here and really hope that I fail this so I can show you some of the additional components at the end of this. So we're just going to navigate quickly through here and answer these questions. It is a mix of true, false, fill in the blank, or multiple choice. Also keep in mind that we do have a test bank associated with or a question bank associated with each and every course. Ultimately, what that means is no two users sitting next to one another taking the same course at the same exact time are going to get the same exam. Not only do we shuffle the actual questions or the order of the questions, we have a test bank that generally has or swaps out about 5 additional test questions that are kind of mixed in or out of the actual exam themselves. Additionally, the answers, aside from the true-false questions, are always going to be shuffled as well. So again, that just ensures the two users sitting next to one another in the system will not have the ability, so to speak, to share answers or, pass around the master key. And that's, in the 12 years that we've been doing this at this point, we've identified that that's necessary. So we've had that implemented at this point for about 9 years within the system. Just recently, within the last 4 years, implemented and integrated the test bank as well. Just another precautionary measure to ensure that every user has their own unique testing component and cannot share those answers, whatever it might be. So I've selected all of my answers here. I'm going to go ahead and select Finish and Grade. At this point, I have earned a 50%. Score needed to pass was 80%. You'll notice here that I do have the opportunity to view the questions that I've missed. However, it does not give me the correct answer. It will give me the answer that I provided. So if this was an instance of, you were on the fence, it could be this or it could be that. This helps kind of clear the web a little bit, cobwebs a little bit there, and get you right back on track. But we do not provide the correct answer. Naturally, while we want to help facilitate education and make sure that you're walking away that much more knowledgeable about programs, we're not going to give everything to the end user. So it does require them to review the information that they missed, go back, retest, or take that exam again, in which case, as I mentioned earlier, we do document every single one of those attempts there. I'm going to go ahead back and hit exit here. As I mentioned earlier, we can go right back. We can jump into the system, start back at those courses, review the material now that we've made it through that course from start to finish, and go back and review the information as needed. Even after a course has been completed and a certificate has been earned, the training can still be accessed and reviewed at any given point in time as long as you've got access to that training material as an end user. I'm going to go ahead and return to the menu screen here, that course selection screen. At this point, folks, this does actually cover the user portion or the user interaction with the actual training courses themselves that are being provided. I'd like to take a moment to pause here and see if you guys have any questions. Again, if you have questions, phones are muted, but you can phone those questions through the attendee chat. So I'll just take a moment if anyone has questions about that user access or how users engage within the material. Please go ahead and phone those questions through that attendee chat. Okay, so far no news is good news. We're going to take that and run with it. We are going to jump right into the administrative portion of the system. So again, as I mentioned earlier, if you are set up as an admin in the account, which I'm assuming most of you will be administrators or facilitators of this program for your department, for your employees, you will have this admin icon set up for you. So you'll simply select that admin link. Does not require any password information to access that, because if you're set up or identified as an admin, you don't need to log into that again. So at this point, this is the basic administrative portion of the site. You'll notice here in the center of the screen, it starts with users and groups and provides a brief overview of that information for you all the way down to get certificates. You'll also notice that those descriptions pair and match with the options on the left-hand side of the screen under the admin menu. So we're going to start from top down and work through each one of these functions to really showcase how you can leverage this portion of the system to organize all your users into various groups or departments. It allows you to view or identify the course licenses that are available to you, who you've assigned them to. Course library really isn't required, and we'll be actually probably removing this link moving forward, just because, again, there's no need to access the course library, as the training is automatically going to be made available to you in this account or under the license manager. Additionally, we'll give a brief overview of the reporting capabilities as well as obtaining those certificates of completion in bulk. So starting with users and groups, this location is really created to allow you to organize your personnel, your officers, your dispatchers, whomever it might be, into the system. Additionally, it gives you the opportunity to break those user groups or break those users into various groups or departments. So when we think of a police department, we're generally thinking about dispatchers. We got our patrol unit. We might have K9. We might have SWAT. The various groups or subgroups that are available within your department, we encourage department administrators to really set that up as is or how that's functioning within their own department. So ultimately, by setting up these user group functions, it's also going to cater to some of the additional features that we have in the system, such as the license manager or making course assignments, as well as all the various reporting tools. The more information that you plug into this as an administrator, the more information you'll be able to get out of the system as it applies to either running or exporting reports or making course assignments there in the system. So we're going to give a brief overview of how groups operate within our system. You'll notice I've set up just a couple groups right here. We've got what's called parent groups, which are always going to be those main groups listed. In the top-down function here, it's always going to be listed alphabetically as well. But we can also create subgroups and subgroups of subgroups. And what I mean by that is, for instance, we might have our patrol unit, and that patrol unit might consist of 3 shifts. You've got shift A, shift B, and the graveyard shift. So it allows you not only to identify this as a patrol officer, but also what shift they're associated with. Again, that can be applicable across the board for any one of these group or department functions here in the system. The more, just to reiterate, the more you put into that, the more you're going to have opportunities to leverage other aspects of this admin portion of the system to either make course assignments or export that training data. Additionally, this is a location where we can either search users by first or last name to find them in the system, or we can add new users into the system. So if we're looking to update a user, maybe their title changed, maybe they got a new email address, whatever the case may be, we can search them directly in the system. It's also pretty forgiving if you're like myself, where spelling is not your strong suit. You can just enter in a few keywords or key letters, and that's going to pull out any data that's associated with that name there in the system. Luckily, I'm good enough to spell my own name, so that's not an issue for today's purpose. But when I pull up my information, ultimately this is giving me the opportunity to update any of my data, update my title if I received a promotion, update my my badge number, my officer ID number, whatever the case may be. I can also use this as a location to assign various privileges, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Additionally, outside from that, going back to the users and groups portion, I can use this to add individual users into the actual training account. And so I add new users. Now, keep in mind, when we first launched this program, I mentioned earlier on that you all are provide a direct account manager or a dedicated account manager to assist you in the rollout of this program. Again, his name is Stephen DeStacy. He will be assisting all members in getting this program rolled out, but it is really and truly our goal to help facilitate and make this the most streamlined process possible, which includes assisting you in adding the large or bulk number of employees within your department, also assisting you in making course assignments and getting you kind of affiliated with this training program. Lastly, if you're looking to set up a one-on-one demonstration of this program and to answer any specific questions that might be applicable for your department, he's going to be your go-to guy to do that, just as I'm conducting this today. His sole purpose, again, is just to assist you in making this as streamlined as possible. That's the best thing about online learning, is that there is a significant convenience factor that's available here, not just for administrators, but also for those end users who are able to access that training whenever it's convenient for them to do so, whether they want to break that into 15-minute increments and navigate through a course in that same manner, they have the opportunity to do so. But focusing on that convenience factor, certainly leverage the resources that are available to you and let us know how we can assist you. So as I mentioned, we're going to upload and we're going to assist you in uploading the first bulk of employees. But as we know, there's oftentimes turnover within the department, new hires coming on board on a constant basis. So you can use this portion of the system to add employees on an individual user basis. Once I plug in all their information here, I've got their first name, last name, title, serial number, email address. Really the only information that's required is that with a red asterisk. However, if we are going to be seeking and going after in-service training credit for this, one of those requirements is to document the officer ID number within the department for that matter, so we can use that right here front and center on the screen there, and that information is also going to be applied to the report exports that you can pull from the system. We're just going to spend a second here to talk about user privilege, though. So all users right now, you all who have been set up and received access to this webinar, you all are set up as what we refer to as primary admins. A primary admin, big picture, is the primary contact associated with the account. So if there's any changes on the account, new courses coming available, that primary contact is always going to be the go-to resource to provide any updates or information concerning this online program. It also means that as a primary admin, you've got full access and capabilities to view all user progress, make course assignments, make any updates within the system, inactivate users, whatever the case may be. You are the full access user to make those updates or apply those changes. Additionally, we've got just a standard admin here. The standard admin has all of the same administrative capabilities as the primary admin. They are just not the primary contact. So we might, for instance, often find that the chief of police is going to be set up as that primary admin, but maybe that administrative role gets passed down to a training coordinator within the department or an administrative assistant. Again, that standard admin is going to have all the same capabilities, all access to the system in the admin portion. They're just not the primary contact. The third section down is what we refer to as group admins. So this is one of those areas that apply actually to those user groups that you set up in the system. So when we talk about when we create those user groups, those various subgroups, we can also apply group administrators to those parent groups or subgroups for that matter. And they have the same capabilities as a primary admin or a regular admin, but they can only do so with their specific group that they're set up underneath, or that they're set up within. So if I was a patrol supervisor for that matter, I could be set up as a group admin underneath the patrol group, and that would give me those administrative capabilities to run reports or make additional course assignments, but I couldn't do that for, say, the 911 telecommunicators or dispatch group. I would only be able to focus those efforts on the group that I'm set up within. And then lastly, we've got just a standard user, no admin capabilities, and their sole opportunity to utilize this program is to log in and utilize the courses that have been made available to them. So once I've got that set up, at that point, we're all good. We can either choose to assign them access to courses one-on-one. Let's just take a look and see what that looks like in my profile here. You'll notice that next to the details section, I now have access and results. When we're simply adding a new user, you only see that details section first. But if I go to my user access at this point, I can see all the courses that are available in this account, and I can see which ones have been made available already, which ones have been completed, and so on. But if I wanted to add additional courses to those users, I simply select those course titles, or I can choose to select all for that matter, hit update access, and then immediately the system prompts me to alert that user or asks me as an administrator if I want to alert that user, letting them know that they've been assigned new courses to access. I can choose yes or no. If I choose yes, that email is going to go out immediately to that end user. Additionally, as you can see here, it just takes a matter of seconds to make that course assignment process and work through. I can also use this as a location to view, again, just the individual user results. This actually mimics and matches that user access from the progress and certificate section. So we've got current courses and all certificates that we can view for that individual user. I can also use this details section if you get notified that a user has misplaced their login credentials. As long as we've got their email filled out here, we can go ahead and send passcodes to this user, and the system's going to prompt you if you want to or you're sure you want to send that information. The response time on that is immediate. So, that email is going right out to that end user. We do work with the departments once we set them up to ensure that we are whitelisted, ensuring that our customer service email would land in their actual inbox and not their junk mail. But in most cases, just because we're not a repeat offender, we don't have many issues of this email landing in the actual inbox folder. That's just something to keep in mind. If you don't receive that, it would behoove you to check the junk or clutter folders that are now available there. From this point forward, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the License Manager. The License Manager is really provided as a top-down view of all the course content that's made available in this program. So we can see all of those training courses from start to finish broken down not only by topic category, but also identifying that as the course name itself. This is also another location that you as an administrator can go and you can select a course topic, and it's going to take you to the course details again for that course. You can also jump back at any given point in time and see who's been assigned that training access. Additionally, also seeing if that training course has been completed for that end user, when that expires, how many have been assigned that, and what's the quantity available. But aside from that top-down overview of what's available through the program, the license manager is the location that you can use to make large or bulk course assignments to your personnel. So we just noticed and saw that in users and groups, we can assign individual training access to an individual user. However, the license manager is used to conduct that in a large or group setting. Again, this is another one of those locations where by having user groups set up within your system and the various subgroups set up, this allows you to leverage those subgroups or those department names and make those specific course assignments. For instance, my dispatchers or 911 telecommunicators would likely only be interested in utilizing those communication skills courses. My correctional or jail facility might have or might only be interested in the corrections training, and so on down the list. So this allows you to make those assignments by selecting either all courses, an individual course, or multiple courses. And the same thing applies with the groups. Do you want to assign those to all groups or just a single group for that matter? So the system really allows you to take full advantage of this and make those easy course assignments. The moment that I make my course selections and notify or hit submit, I have the opportunity to notify all users. So we're just going to look at that and show you exactly what that looks like. We're going to say all courses to all users and all groups. And the system's going to go through just a tally for me. Again, immediately, do you want these people to receive a notification, let them know that they've been assigned new access? I select yes. It goes right through that course assignments on the screen. But it's also going to break down for me some requests that were made or assignments that were made, as well as those that could not be completed because I've already been assigned that access or a user's already been assigned that access. So navigating next from the license manager, we're going to jump right into reporting. As I mentioned earlier, course library is going to be removed as that's just not necessary for you all to interact with. The courses are automatically available in that license manager for you all to utilize. So we'll just be deactivating or turning off that course library option moving forward. But looking at the reports page here, the reports is somewhat the bread and butter of this system, so it really gives you a wealth of data and a wealth of documentation and information that's available. Starting with the actual report type and those selections, you've got courses completed, not completed, course breakdown and user breakdown. There's also that friendly little question mark there. It's going to show you exactly what those reports can do for you. So if I just make my course selections here, the next section is who I want to run this report for. Do I want to run that for groups of users? And again, one of those locations right here where having those groups or groups of users broken down in the system is going to be that much more pertinent. You'll be able to really document that data, not just in the report itself, but also giving you additional selections here to run that report or who you run that report for. So I've got groups of users. I've got all users where I can choose either individual or multiple users, or again, all users there. And then lastly, on a specific report subject. So if I required all of my officers to take anti-bias training for law enforcement, I could easily run that report to see who's completed it, and I can also run that report to see who has not completed that. That's just going to give me the information that I need on who I need to follow up with to ensure that they're actually utilizing that program. The next section down is the during section. Do you want to run that for the current month, the current year, or between specific date ranges? So again, if you had made an assignment and told your users to go through and complete it during the months of August through September, you can plug in that date range there and choose to export that. We've got 4 different export options, starting with HTML all the way down to tab. I will tell you point blank, you'll probably never use these last 2. Those are really involved in call it export functions, or really anything that we're importing for that matter, possibly into another system and so on. CSV is always going to be your go-to. HTML is going to put that front and center right there on the screen within your web browser window. and the CSV report option is going to export that in a very bare bones Excel format, ensuring that you can then take that data, manipulate that data to log that into or upload that into any other training documentation systems or personnel systems you might have. So it's going to allow you to export that in a CSV format, save that onto your desktop, and utilize that at a later time. Navigating away from the reporting, folks, we're going to take a look quickly at the settings. So previously I mentioned when we took that and failed that first exam, we identified that I failed that, and that also the required pass percentage was 80%. So underneath your settings tabs, you've really got only two options here. Edit your contact information. So if you're the primary admin, maybe you plan on retiring, maybe you want to set someone else up as the primary admin, you can change that contact information over here and update that information, or if you move across the street, update the address for that matter. But additionally, this is where you can go and you can edit those test settings. So we talked about being able to update on an individual testing basis. So this even applies to not just a full course, but if there's a quiz that's associated with multiple modules, you have the opportunity to update each one of those module quizzes to 100%. But you can only do so in 5% increments, starting with 80% all the way up to 100%. You cannot go below 80% as our default there in the system. Once I've made those changes, it's going to do that and apply that for all the courses that I've selected there, and I just simply hit update. Now at this point, that standard pass percentage is required for the user in order to actually complete that exam. Again, order history, that's another location just not applicable for you all since you're not having to pay for this service and it's offered at absolutely no cost. You're not going to be ordering training courses. So while it's an option in the system and that would document invoice history and so on, it's really not applicable specifically for this program. The last area we want to touch on, though, is that Get Certificate section here. And so we talked about previously underneath Progress and Certificate section where for an individual user, you can go and achieve or obtain individual courses or certificates of completion. The Get Certificates option actually allows me to do that or choose that by user or all users and actually plug in a full date range. What's going to happen is if I wanted to do that for the entire last year, let's say from August 25th, 2016 to August 24th or today's date, I can plug in that date range and it's going to pull everything from the system for all users that have had completion data. It's going to provide that as individual certificates of completion for each user, and that's going to work right in conjunction with your standard PDF viewer that you have in the system. So let's just plug in a date range here. I've only got one course complete on this account, so it's only going to pull out one certificate. All I do is select Get Certificates, select to download those certificates, and it provides that to me in a nice, clean Excel document or zip file. Pull that over on this screen here. You can see the name of the course, who the user was, that date of completion, and so on. So at this point, I can either choose to view that file, export that, or do anything that I want with that. But again, it's always going to export that in a zip file or compressed zip file, I should say, and give you that information. So folks, today that does wrap up the now administrative portion of the system. So up to this point, we've discussed how a user interacts with the system, how an administrator can utilize the various tools in the admin portion of the system to pull and showcase the the information they're looking to obtain, or to set this up in a manner that works best for their department. The next thing I want to discuss about just in brief at this point was the opportunity for in-service credit. Again, I had mentioned that Thomas Bullock, Thomas Bullock III, he is the law enforcement training specialist for VMLIP and for this law enforcement academy. So he's really heading this on. He has passed along to us that he is actively talking to and working with the various academies to ensure that this training is applicable for in-service training credit. And we will be sending out additional information concerning this as we continue to make inroads there. Again, as I mentioned previously, LocalGovU and Police1, Police1.com, we are all too familiar with working with the various state agencies, so we currently are what we consider post-approved or recognized for in-service or continuing ed credit in a total of 37 states. And really what that means is every state is entirely different on necessarily what's allowed, what's approved for continuing education credit, or the reporting requirements. So as we continue to work on obtaining these approvals, we might have some changes in the system applied to the various reporting structures or requirements that's necessary there. So if we need to add an additional, employee documentation or training data or data concerning the actual training course itself, we're going to be working through that really hopefully in the near term months to come as we obtain more feedback and more utilization of this program. But we certainly encourage you to funnel any additional questions concerning this program that you might have. Thomas has graciously opted in to answer any additional questions that department heads might have concerning this program. So I wanted to take this as an opportunity to provide you with Thomas's direct contact information, as he is really headlining this law enforcement academy and assessing the course topics that are being provided, going through those courses individually himself before he validates them or makes them available to the members who utilize this program. But if you do have any questions concerning that, you can reach Thomas directly at area code 804-237-7365. Again, that is his direct line. His email address is going to be T for Thomas Bullock, BULLOCK, at VMLINS.org. Again, that's T Bullock at VMLINS.org. And he'll be able to answer any additional questions you have ongoing about that in-service credit. Ultimately, there's 4 main requirements to obtain in-service credit from an e-learning provider, an online learning provider like us. That include the attendance roster, demonstrating the attendance of the full session, which is required to receive that partial in-service training credit. That attendance record is going to be your reports record that you can export directly from the system. It documents that date of completion, the amount of time in the training material, how many attempts it took them to pass, and what their earned credit was. The user log shall also be kept for all distance learning, which includes the username, employee tracking number, that is that employee ID number, time logged on and time logged off, and the name of the training program. Partial in-service credit will only be awarded for fully completed training programs. What that means is not just navigating through that course from start to finish, but actually earning that certificate of completion for that training that was provided. Additionally, the agency administrator or the designee shall obtain the course information to include subject matter experts allowed or utilized when creating that course material, the date and time when the class is available. In our situation, this is available around the clock 24/7, so it's pretty much indefinitely. So also the instructor name of the course author and their qualifications. This information is and will be provided on a per request basis, or as we start facilitating this with the various academy administrators and getting this program out there. And then the next one, really ensuring that a post-test and answer guide and lesson plan is available. Again, that is something that we have readily available. We utilize this in all of our actual formal submission processes in the other states that we provide this training. So again, we'll be facilitating that hopefully with the academy directors and administrators to get the word out about this. At this point, folks, we are coming up on the hour, so we've got just a few minutes left. I want to take a moment to pause and see if there's any additional questions that you folks might have. Also to provide you with my direct contact information. So if you have questions right now, please go ahead and funnel those through that attendee chat, and I will certainly address those. But also in the meantime, my name again is Tony Green. I'm the Director of Account Operations here with Local GovU. I also oversee all of our online learning divisions, so not just Local GovU, but our Police One Academy, Corrections One Academy, Fire and Rescue One Academy, and so on. My main purpose here is to help facilitate any of these organizational type projects or these types of programs in the instance where VMLIP has decided to implement this training program. So my main goal is to help facilitate not just the onboarding of this program, getting it set up, but helping to facilitate and ensure that all the members can easily gain access to this training or answer any questions that you guys might have. And my direct contact information, if you have any additional questions following this webinar, you can reach me directly at tgreen, that's T for Tony, green, just like the color, at localgov.com, that's LOCALGOV, and the letter U.com. And my direct line is area code 415-318-3831, or you can always call our toll-free number, in which case one of our customer service or technical service reps will be able to direct your call or answer any additional questions you might have as well. And that number is 866-845-8887. And we are available from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So again, if you guys have any additional questions concerning this, I haven't seen any more questions come in from the attendee chat. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and close this up. We will be, and we have recorded this webinar, so once that's done, we'll be putting this back on the VMLIP Law Enforcement Academy portal page for additional viewing purposes following this. But please let us know if you have any questions. We certainly look forward to the opportunity to work with you all and help facilitate this program within your department. And ultimately, just look forward to getting this off the ground. Thank you all again for your time today, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care and have a great day.